What is up, everybody? It's been so long. The man's got me just working my butt off. It's crazy. These past couple months feel like 10 years have passed since January 20th. Nuts. Total insanity, everything that's going on, but it's freaking hilarious. Like, I never thought I'd see the day. Everything going on with the tariffs, just the stock market, everything's just been a total S show. Now, I know plenty of people are big Trumpers, and that's perfectly fine. I have no problem with that. You know, we each pick our team, and, everyone defends it to the death. But it's been a pretty interesting couple months, and I think what's funny for me is I've completely lost track of my stack. Like, not just in price. I watched gold go up, and I think about it, since 2019, gold was 2018, 2019, 12.50 an ounce, 11.50 an ounce, something like that, maybe a little bit earlier, 2017. But to see, how much that has changed to 3,000, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty healthy bump. I always knew that gold would have staying power versus silver. Silver, I felt like, obviously more volatile. But the hard part for most stackers is you don't have, the cash for gold unless you're buying fractional, which the hard part is, so much of the premium or the premiums are so high that buying fractional just, it's not attractive. Whereas silver, the premiums are lower most of the time. But with, spot going up and down like it has been for the past couple of years, even that's not easy. But at 3,000 an ounce, might be attractive to liquidate some gold. Definitely thinking about it. The problem is with the tariffs, I'm asking myself, like, damn, well, now I'm screwed either way because, as you know, I'm a big supporter of the CCP and President Xi of China. Just kidding. But I don't even think I have that many pandas. I have maybe, 10 different pandas. But I've always thought pandas were pretty funny. 30 grams instead of the full ounce. Come on, G, you can give me the other 2 ounces, or 2 grams. You don't have to, skimp. But it's just funny, like, even with the tariffs, I wonder how that's affecting purchasing, bullion, like the normal stuff, maples, libertads, that kind of stuff. Is that having an impact? I'm sure it is. It has to, right? Because that stuff's imported. And of course, I'm sure no one's giving out discounts these days. But it's pretty crazy, everything that's going on as far as how it translates to real life. A lot of my clients are business owners. And, regardless of what type of business, whether it's import, export, or they, do any type of real work, so much as far as materials comes from China. And what they're saying is, like, a lot of them are basically on hiatus. They're like, you know what, we can't afford to pay the tariff. Like, we can't, with, the situation in flux. It's like, let's say you pay the tariff and then a few days later, it goes away. Well, that's just bad business, right? So it just makes sense not to take delivery of your orders, which is crazy. The other thing is a lot of my clients are also work at the port. They're also pretty conservative people, so they're a lot of them are Trump supporters, that kind of thing. So it's interesting to see. I think the thing is, I've heard them talking that there's definitely been a slowdown at the port for sure, but I think it's still in its infancy. If this thing doesn't get settled at some point. So it'll be interesting to see if, hours get cut and that kind of thing, because if the ships aren't coming in, there's no reason to have so many people there. And make no mistake, the people at the port, they, the ILWU and those guys, they make damn good money, like ridiculous money. So, if anything threatens that, in the long term, that I'm sure they won't be very happy. So it's an interesting environment, but, as far as how it pertains to like gold and silver, I guess silver's kind of been stuck in the range, although it's definitely higher than it has been for a couple years. It's had spikes, but I mean the staying power of it staying above 30. And my question is, does it reflect more of a destruction of the currency in the short run, or does it kind of, is it more to do with just the value there? I guess there's arguments on both sides, because the reality is that prices have gone up over time for everything. So is it a shock? No, but is it interesting to see also that particularly like gold, again, because gold versus silver, gold doesn't have the use case of silver. Silver's used in a lot of different things. So you can see, as an industrial metal, demand, driving up price. But gold, there's really not that kind of demand for it as far as, any type of industrial use. So it's like, okay, well, who's paying $3,000 an ounce? And then if they're buying bullion, what kind of premiums are you paying on that kind of stuff? You know what I mean? Who's buying? My question is, in the stocking community, really, who's buying gold at 3,300 or whatever the hell it is now? That's crazy, especially with premiums on top. That's just, not that I think it's gonna, race back down, but it could. The thing I think about with metals is, if you look back at, for example, beginning of COVID, when there was kind of that flash everything sell-off, gold went right down with it, gold and silver. So to say that, oh, well, if something happens, gold, not necessarily. It's interesting, but it's wild times out there. I'm interested to see kind of like how this whole situation is affecting people, in your neck of the woods. But also, I think that the big thing with the tariff situation is the effects really haven't been felt yet, for as far as the supply, because so much is made in China. China, Walmart, Target, Home Depot, all these companies where everything on the shelves is coming from somewhere else. Like, once that supply stops coming in, that's going to be, not just for the retail consumer goods. You can imagine tools and all kinds of different crap that we get from there, or parts of which come from there. There's definitely going to be an impact, and it's crazy to think, like, okay, if this plays out, I think it's also funny too to hear the argument, well, oh, we want to bring jobs back to America. Yeah, those jobs aren't coming back. And it's kind of stupid and naive to think like, oh, well, the manufacturing's coming back. It's not. It's never coming back. Why? Well, I mean, the thing is, if you go about it in a targeted way and say, hey, these are the industries we want back, that can work. Like, for example, the CHIPS Act, like, we want semiconductor manufacturing, things like that. But to be like, well, we just want all the manufacturing jobs back, yeah, that's ridiculous. Again, it's not going to happen. No one wants to be, making Nike shoes that'll have to cost $300 extra dollars on top of the ridiculous prices that they already have to be competitive. It's just not going to happen. I mean, that's basic economics, like grade school economics. And so it's kind of crazy to see that Trump says he's going to be, I'm going to be tough on the tariffs aren't coming off, and then turn around each time he does it 2-3 days later and say, well, I'm going to pause it because literally everyone in the world's laughing at it. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And like, I can't defend it in any way. It's basically like stupid, completely stupid. Now, could he have done it in a way to get some big concessions from people? Absolutely. So I'm not dissing the premise. Like, again, I don't agree with it, but could he have gone about it and tried to do it in a cohesive way? Yeah, I think so. And then get some concessions from people. But the whole idea that countries are robbing us because we're getting cheap products is the damn stupidest. Like, that is the most ridiculous thing ever. If people want to give me cheap products, sign me up all day long. Well, then there's not going to be any jobs. Well, I mean, that's kind of how it works. I mean, you got to produce something that's in demand. So if you figure out a way to make something in demand, well, then there'll be jobs. But if you don't, I mean, the crazy part about this is like when, Trump and these people say, well, China's been ripping us off. Really? Is that really what's been going on? No, it's our own corporations that 30-40 years ago decided, you know what, we can go take advantage of modern slavery in other countries by paying people pennies on the dollar to work in sweatshops to produce our goods, and then it's cheaper to import it back in and sell it to our consumers here than it would be to make it here. Let's do that. That way we can maximize profit. That's what's been going on. It's not China, it's not Vietnam, it's not any of these countries who are taking advantage of us. It's been our corporations all along. And when people look at stock prices and this and that, they're all about it. But when they when they don't realize that, well, the way that they're doing that is by taking advantage of you, taking your job and shipping it overseas or whatever. I mean, that's kind of, again, ridiculous. Simplistic mind, just not grasping the mechanisms of how things work. But it's interesting to see, and I can't wait for more. It's exciting every day.